All right, cool. Go. Let's start the show. All right, so today I'm going to talk about the pros and cons of the countryside in Japan. The first, rent is very cheap. So in the city, it's going to be a lot more expensive. So I'll just work with my numbers. I have a 2-bedroom apartment. I pay 500 bucks every month for it. It's fairly big. It's way more than big enough for me. But if I heard that if you go to the city, it's almost like double the cost. So living in the countryside, rent is cheaper. But if you compare it to like American housing, it's actually still very cheap. And if you want to go cheaper, honestly, a bedroom for 300 bucks if you want to go that route. Okay, and the next thing that I'm going to talk about, I would like to talk about how cheap the food is in the countryside. It's also cheap. I think it's very, very cheap. You can buy like no name brand type of food at the supermarket, and it's a lot cheaper than like buying like some kind of name brand. So groceries are definitely a lot cheaper from what I've heard from friends, and comparing to what they've told me, like for fruits. So that's another pro of like living in the countryside. Food is cheaper, and I'm also going to add that some restaurants are definitely cheap. Like there's this one restaurant I go to. I pay like $6. I get a full meal with like soup, rice, beef, vegetables. So that's very cool. That's super cheap. All right, I got a car coming right behind me. I gotta get out of the way. So as you guys can see, the roads are so narrow here in Japan. Like only one car can fit. Like it can only go one way. And I think I've also seen cars come here the opposite way. So what most people will do, I think they just like kind of scoot to the side, and then they just pass through. But anyways, let's talk about today. So actually the weather is pretty good today. Here comes another car. But yeah, it's pretty good. It's not like so warm as it has been for the past weeks. And once again, I find myself riding on the road because it's so narrow, like I said. But yeah, it's it's pretty good so far. It's starting to cool down because the summers in Japan is just really, really unbearable. But all right, let's go to pro number 3. So pro number 3 of living in Japan's countryside is that it's probably even like way more safe than living in the city. And like you don't really have to worry at all about getting robbed or anything like that in Japan. And I feel like in the countryside it's even like way more safer. And also people, they just seem nicer in the countryside. People say hello to you. Yeah, they'll say hello to you, or they just seem a little bit warm. So I'll tell you from my experience. Like I've been living in my my 2-bedroom apartment for 2 years and about 6-7 months, and there's this elderly couple that live like 4 minutes away, and they always greet me. They're so cool, and I became friends with them. I just greeted them every day, and then we just talked. So they became friends with me, and sometimes they gave me food, they gave me fruits or whatever. And what I would do is, if I went to like another city where I know it's really far, I'll bring them some kind of snacks or gifts, because I think they're elderly, so it's hard for them to go to another city and, like get like certain sweets or goods. So sometimes I'll bring them some good stuff from another city. And another thing that I do want to talk about living in the countryside is that it's very peaceful. It's like super quiet. Nobody's gonna bother you. And I've gotten used to how quiet everything is in Japan. So everything is super quiet in Japan, and I think that when I stayed like in Osaka, like near my friend's house, like when I slept over, I really noticed the noise when I go to sleep at night. Like it's just so different. And yeah, so those are the three things. It's just rent is cheap, it's very peaceful, and it's like extra safe. So now let's talk about the cons. So some of my biggest cons of living in Japan countryside, so is that, let's say you want to go do something, like usually in the countryside there's like nothing to do, like literally there's nothing to do. So you'll take a train or you'll take some kind of public transportation and go to the city. But if you're in the countryside, it takes very long. It takes super long, and also it's expensive. Oh, yeah, anyways, it's super long and very expensive. So that's a huge con, especially like if you want to go to some kind of event, or if you need to go to a doctor, like a good doctor, they're usually in the city. So that sucks. Like having to have like a social time, it's really a pain. The second con that I have to say about living in the countryside is that there isn't anything to do in the countryside, but I turned that into a pro. I turned that into a good thing. So like if you have nothing to do, you can do things to better yourself. Like for example, I work out, I study music, I study Japanese. Oh, and I'm actually on my way to my free Japanese class. If you guys want to know how to get free Japanese classes, just write it in the comments below. So yeah, you can take like a boring time and use it to make the most productivity out of it as you can. Like just better yourself, find ways to better yourself and use every minute or all your time as much as you can. So I think you can turn like having too much time into a positive thing if you're smart about it, instead of just like wasting your time away. All right, and last con of living in the countryside is that everyone knows you. Like you can't hide. There's like almost no privacy. So like it doesn't matter where you go, somebody's gonna know you, and it's sometimes inconvenient, because if you don't want anybody to know what you're doing, it's almost impossible. So yeah, that's a huge con in my opinion, because I do like privacy. If I want to hang out with my friends, I don't want like, all my students to know I'm hanging out with my friends, or I don't want them to come up to me sometimes just for privacy reasons. It's not that I don't want to greet them, it's just that I want to have my own privacy. And yeah, but if you guys are interested in the JET program, I highly suggest you guys send me a message if you guys want to know about living here, working in the JET program, or you guys have any other questions, please ask me. Happy to help. Konnichiwa. Yeah, so I'm happy to help. And yeah, just ask away. Whew. Class. Even though I'm kind of tired after work today, so I did work out. I went to work, and now I'm studying Japanese class, so I'll be home late. Yeah, it's very hard, but I'm getting a lot done, so it's all good. Anyways, thank you guys. I'm out. See you on the next one.